All right, I'll start now. Hello and welcome to today's Respiratory Clinical Science MSc Virtual Open Day. Thank you for joining us. My name is Himani Patni. I am a proud alumni of Respiratory Clinical Science course. I will be your chair this afternoon. We hope this session will address your course-specific questions and will help you to gain an insight into what it is really like to study on one of our master's program. I'm delighted to welcome today's speakers, Dr. Vitor Teixeira de Souza, who will provide you with an overview of our MSc Respiratory Clinical Science program, followed by a Q&A session in the second part of the event. Please note that this session is being recorded and will be made available on our website following today's event. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Vitor de Souza Teixeira. Dr. De Souza is an associate professor, director of the Respiratory Clinical Science MSc program, tutor for postgraduate taught degrees, and the deputy postgraduate research tutor at the UCL Division of Medicine. He's responsible for designing and leading the MSc Respiratory program, teaching immunology, lung biology, and respiratory diseases across the core modules, and overseeing research projects. Over to you, Vitor.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Imani, for your kind introduction. So let me share my slides, if that's okay. Wonderful. Let me open this. Can everyone see my slides? Yeah, I assume yes. Great. So it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you very much for registering to this open event. So I'm, as Imani said, I'm Vitor Teixeira. I'm the program director of the Respiratory Clinical Science MSc program, and I'm also the tutor for all postgraduate taught degrees within the UCL Division of Medicine. So let me start for describing why you should study at UCL. So we are one of the best universities in the world. We are rated 9th in the QS World University ranking last year. We are top 10 as well globally in 10 subject areas, and very important, we are 6th for medicine. We are also the top university in London and second in the UK for research power. Our research, 93% of our research was considered world leading and international excellent. We're also considered the UK University of the Year last year by the Times and, this year by the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide. We are very proud to be rated 7 in the UK's People and Planet University. Very important for all our students, we are the 4th highest rated university in Europe for employability. So usually 90% of our students go on to find a job in the next 6 months, and they earn a premium compared with other institutions. And finally, because we have world-leading research, we are the 2nd most cited university in Europe. So only to give you a brief overview how UCL is structured. So we have the Office of the President and Provost and University Professional Service, and we have 11 different faculties. So if you enroll in this course, you'll be part of the Faculty of Medical Science. That includes 6 different divisions: the medical school, the division of infection and immunity, division of surgery, cancer institute, and Eastman Dental Institute, and finally, the division of medicine. In our course is the liver, that is part of the division of medicine. So if you enroll with us, you'll be a student in the division of medicine that is part of the Faculty of Medical Science. So what are the educational ethos of the Division of Medicine? What's our aim? Our aim is to educate, train and inspire the next generation of scientists and doctors. We want to be always at the international forefront of biomedical research, from lab bench to the bench in the labs, to the bedside, and deliver standard care and good therapies for patients. We want, of course, to attract, retain, and develop the most gifted biomedical researchers and teachers at all levels. We have a strong collaboration with our UCL's partners hospitals, the UCLH, UCL Hospital, and the Royal Free Hospital. And together with these hospitals, we want to develop and deliver outstanding patient care. In terms of research, our aims is to understand the basis of disease and to develop, of course, better diagnostics and treatments for diseases with a big emphasis in experimental medicine. So what you will benefit from this excellent educational and research delivery? So you will benefit from productive collaborations between scientists and clinical researchers, and you have exposure to the clinical aspects of the research activities that you will perform. So let's talk now specifically about our respiratory clinical science master program. And I'll start with a question. Usually when I teach, I always start with questions to my students. Why is it important to study respiratory medicine? Of course, I think you are aware that more than 1 billion people in the world suffers from a respiratory disease or condition. Very sadly, every 5 minutes in UK, a person dies from a respiratory disease. So we want and we need to train more scientists, more students to become, better scientists, to become great doctors, and to be the world leaders in this very important field, in the respiratory medicine field. So that's why in our program we teach the scientific and clinical basis of respiratory medicine. And you'll be taught by experts, world experts in different respiratory diseases that are part of the UCL Division of Medicine, UCL Respiratory Medicine Department, the UCLH Thoracic Medicine Department, and the Royal Free Hospital Respiratory Department. You will also have access to world experts in respiratory medicine research, to respiratory clinicians, our academic clinicians, and pharmaceutical experts. In some modules, I invite experts from big pharmas or biotechs to deliver how respiratory diseases are targeted. We are very proud to deliver an innovative teaching. I'll speak more about this in the next slides, and you'll have access to our UCL respiratory, to our wonderful and brilliant UCL respiratory laboratories. So let's talk about the structure of this program. So this program is structured in 3 terms. Term 1 and term 2, you'll have 4 taught models each, and term 3, the research project. So regarding the term 1, I call the scientific term, you will learn more about biological systems and biological processes that are very important to understand the respiratory diseases. So we know that the dysregulation of this biological process, for example, the immune system or inflammatory process or repair and regeneration in the lung, are extremely important to understand how respiratory diseases started, right, and how they progress. So we have these 4 modules: principles of immunology, principles of inflammation, tissue repair and regeneration, and a new module that I set up for next year that I will lead and teach several content that is called respiratory cell and molecular biology. So this module, let me go to the summary in term 1. So this module, the respiratory cell and molecular biology, will provide you with a deep understanding of cellular and molecular mechanisms that govern the function of the respiratory system. And of course, will deliver knowledge of cell signaling pathways and their respiratory disease. So you will understand and gain knowledge not only about all these cell signaling pathways, but also how the dysregulation of these pathways will lead to the onset and development of respiratory diseases. In terms of the principles of immunology, inflammation, and tissue repair and regeneration, you will understand more about how the complexity of these multicellular process and multi-organ aspects are important in terms of inflammation, infection, immunology, lung repair and lung regeneration in health, in homeostasis, but also their role in the respiratory and other diseases. Regarding the term 2 has a strong clinical component. I lead the 3 out of 4 modules in term 2. You will learn more about respiratory biology and physiology. You'll learn about diseases and conditions and drug discovery in respiratory medicine. The 4th taught module in term 2 is a practical laboratory research skills. This will prepare students for their research project if they choose to do a lab-based project. Of course, we offer also clinical-based projects, and I will explain this in the next slides. And the research projects will take place in term 3. So regarding the summary of term 2, in the principles of respiratory physiology, you will learn and gain knowledge about the structural characteristics of the lung anatomy, and the complex physiology of the respiratory system. Regarding the respiratory disease and conditions module, you will learn more and a lot about the key scientific and clinical aspects of a broad range of respiratory disease, including IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COVID-19, asthma, interstitial lung disease, pneumonia, bronchiectasis, tuberculosis, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, pediatric respiratory diseases, and sleep apnea. So, you will understand, and hopefully at the end of this module, you will understand more about the clinical aspect, the scientific and clinical aspects that are related to each of these respiratory diseases. The third module is called Drug Discovery and Respiratory Medicine. In this module, you will learn the scientific and pharmacological basis for the discovery and development of novel therapeutic agents in respiratory disease. This module is not related to how to design a treatment, but rather how you target specific pathways, specific molecules, proteins, and genes that can not only release symptoms, but cure the disease. So you will learn from pharmaceutical experts to understand more about how they target these molecules, how they develop these drugs, and how the patients can be cured using these drugs. The final module of term 2 is called Practical Laboratory Research Skills, as I said before, and you'll learn about the theory and practical aspects of experimental techniques that are required in the wet lab, in the research lab. And this will include not only learning about lab health and safety, experimental designs and research ethics, but also key basic lab techniques, including cell culture, DNA, RNA, and protein extraction, FACS, flow cytometry, PCR, qPCR, Western blotting, immunofluorescence, and so on. So this program has designed, I'm part of the UCL Respiratory Medicine Department. I lead a group in lung cancer in research. I'm trying the focus of my research at this point, and the focus of what my PhDs are doing in the lab is to understand how the role of microbiome in lung cancer carcinogenesis and lung cancer progression. But we have, a huge amount of different groups in the respiratory medicine department. We work in these wonderful labs. You have some pictures here demonstrating the high quality and high standards of our labs. And these centers include the Lungs for Living Research Center. So their research focus, and my group is part of this center, so their research focus in lung cancer, airway stem cells and lung regeneration, lung development, lung imaging, and clinical trials. The second center of our respiratory medicine department is the Center for Inflammation and Tissue Repair. They have a respiratory cell and molecular biology group, respiratory infection group that research about, for example, pneumonia, bronchiectasis. They have a COPD group as well, interstitial lung disease, leukocytic traffic group, and IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis group. Finally, we have the Center for Respiratory Biology, and you will learn, and this center, will research a specific syndrome called antitrypsin deficiency syndrome, and also other serpinopathy. So if you decided to join our program, and you will have contact with a huge amount of lecturers and clinical scientists and early career researchers that are part of our great respiratory medicine department, and you'll have the opportunity as well to do not only a lab-based project, but if you decided to do a clinical-based project, to understand more about and to learn more and be involved in the outstanding research clinical and lab-based research that we are doing in our department. So this is what happened in term 3, as I said. So you have a lab of clinical-based research projects. We offer a multitude of research projects, and include not only, but not limited, but include these areas: lung cancer, IPF, COPD, asthma, interstitial lung disease, pneumonia, TB, lung fetal development, sleep apnea, and alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. So these lab or clinical-based research projects will take place or in our wonderful labs at UCL Respiratory Medicine Department, or at UCLH here, this building here with green windows, or at Royal Free Hospital here on your right. We are very proud as well to deliver innovative learning, what we call the blended learning. We are offering not only the traditional lectures, the classroom. We also have small group tutorials in which you will be exposed to a specific problem, a specific task that you will deliver in class. So these tasks can include, for example, presenting a paper, so a journal club, doing oral presentation about a specific topic, and this task will help you to develop transferable skills that you can use in your future career. We also offer lab-based tutorials, as you can see here. So we are located at the Rain building here on your left, and these lab-based tutorials will teach you how to, for example, identify lung epithelial cells, that include basal cells, goblet cells, ciliate cells, and so on, by immunofluorescence. You also observe different types of live cells, for example, human bronchial epithelial cells, lung fibroblasts, lung cancer cells, and so on, and do some cell biology assays. We also offer a multitude of clinical tutorials at UCLH and Royal Free Hospital. So you'll have several clinical tutorials in the lung physiology and sleep disorders units. You'll learn how to do pulmonary function tests, for example. You'll learn how to do complex sleep apnea studies. You'll also have a workshop about mechanical ventilation. And you will sit and observe amazing respiratory procedures, for example, bronchoscopies that are represented here in this bottom image. And you will sit in several respiratory diseases diagnostic sessions. So you will sit with patients and with the lead clinician in different topics of respiratory medicine. For example, we have here Professor Sam James, who's the head of Holder Division, and who's a clinician, who's a pneumologist, oncologist. So he delivers lung cancer clinic. We have Professor Jeremy Brown for infectious respiratory diseases, Professor Joe Porter for ILD, Dr. Swapna Mandal for sleep apnea, and Dr. Kay Roy for asthma clinic. You also attend UCLH respiratory multidisciplinary teams. So these multidisciplinary teams discuss patient cases, bring a multitude of experts from different areas to discuss a specific patient. So you will learn and you will observe how these cases are discussed, and the different expertise that each clinician brings to the table. So where is the program taught? So it's in different places. So usually term 1, 3 modules will take place at UCL Medical School in the Royal Free Campus that is located in Hampstead. So it's 10 minutes from the main campus by tube, or 20 minutes by bus. One of the modules in term 1 will take place at the main campus. The term 2 will take place, all the modules take place in the Bloomsbury campus here. As you can see here, we are located in Camden, near our UCLH hospital here, as I said before, in this building with green windows. And in terms of research projects, in term 3, you can, if you choose a lab-based research project, this will take place in UCL Respiratory Labs. If you choose a clinical project, can take place or at Royal Free Hospital or at the UCLH. So, of course, it's very important for you to know which our students went on to do and which type of jobs they were able to get. So our program is quite recent. We started our program in 2021. Since then, we had 90% of students were able to find a job. So, plenty of students went on to be a lecturer in their home country. A lot of them pursue PhD studies, sorry. Some of them are now research assistants. We have students who went on to do graduate medicine, or some clinicians who attend this course went on to find a job at NHS. We also have some students who went on to do a very prestigious program at NHS called the Scientist Training Program, and they will become clinical scientists in the future. We have some students who went on to be a junior scientist at pharmaceutical and biotech companies. Of course, with the skills that we provide, you can also try to apply, and have the skills to apply for jobs for public health and clinical trial jobs, or health-related organization, for example, charity, scientific publishing, and science communication. So this is my final slide. So here I put a couple of links that you can use to learn a little bit more about our program and how, to apply to this program. So feel free to check these web pages, and of course, feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. But yeah, at this point, I will stop here, and I will give you the opportunity to ask me any questions that you may have that are related to the program. And again, let me thank you for attending this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vitor, for this very informative session. As Vitor said, we'll now start with our Q&A session. Please add your questions in the Q&A box.
Don't be shy. Please ask all the questions that you may have.
As an alumni myself, I did have a lot of questions, and I did email to Dr. Vitor, and he was very kind to reply me back. So I would suggest you guys to please ask any of the questions that you might have, be it I will share my experience about this course. Being a part of this course, I had clinical experience back in my country, and I did not have any experience with the research. But so it really helped me to bridge that gap between clinical experience and the research background. While starting with the lab, I did a project with Dr. Teixeira, and I did not know any of the lab skills. So it really honed me with skills like DNA extractions, molecular biology techniques, statistical analysis. So all of that I got to learn from this course. So I did have a lot of questions back then, and so I would suggest please keep asking, and we'll be more than happy to answer.
I'm not sure if they have the chance to ask me the question, to use their mic to ask me questions. Should the participants need to write them down?
They will write them down, I guess, yes.
Okay.
In the chat box, in the Q&A box, they can write it down.
Okay. It seems that we don't have any questions.
questions?
But that's okay. That's absolutely fine. So the recording will okay. Let's give a copy. Yeah. So yeah, I will I will continue to, let me reinforce that. Please feel free to contact me, okay, if you have any questions. If you need a meeting with me as well, online meeting with me, please feel free to let me know. I'm more than happy to set up an individual meeting with any of you. And yeah, so feel free to reach out, and I'll be more than happy to have a chat or reply to all the questions that you may have. Great. I think we'll close here. Let me take this opportunity to thank again the attendees. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much, Himani, for hosting this open event, and thank you, Emiliana, to organize the session. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, please again feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. Okay. Thank you
Thank you,
very
everyone.
much. Pleasure
Thank you,
to meet you
everyone.
all. Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.